The following is a pre-recorded show. Welcome to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers, certified financial planner professional and founder of Akers Financial Group. Now, helping you win in your retirement, here's Brian Akers.
Welcome to Winning in Retirement. This radio podcast is put on by Akers Financial Group. I'm the host, Brian Akers, president and founder of Akers Financial Group. And here with me today is Jeff Akers, Vice President of Akers Financial Group, certified financial planner practitioner, and our expert on many different things at Akers Financial Group. Welcome to the show today, Jeff.
Many things. I feel so special this morning.
Well, I didn't want to start listing them all because it's only an hour show. We have to cover it quickly, you know.
And then I'd have to list yours.
Well, yeah, we won't need to do that. But generally what happens is this. We do a radio show, a radio podcast. What's great is you can hear this show live on our radio stations. And you also can actually go to a podcast and check us out there under Winning in Retirement. Yes, Winning in Retirement is the name of the show because we want people to think about how are they going to win in their retirement years. You might be getting ready to win. You might be already in those retirement years and winning, or maybe not feeling like winning. That's why you got to listen to a show like this to see, are you doing the right things to make sure you're going to be winning during and throughout those retirement years?
Yeah, and sometimes you're not even thinking about it yet, but you need to start. No matter how young you are, you need to start thinking because things come up all through life.
Absolutely. Things come up. Well, today's the day, I'm afraid. Yep, it's a big day for me. This is a recorded show, obviously, because today is my son's wedding day.
You mean you're not doing the radio show at the wedding?
I thought about having a live broadcast, but I decided that we ought to pre-record this thing just so that I can get through it. You know?
That might be best.
And so, hey, when you're thinking about your son getting married, I have two children. My daughter got married a couple years ago. Now my son getting married. It's the big day. The big day here in Winning Retirement, at least for me, Brian Akers, because my son Noah is getting married to Julia, wonderful girl that they've met, and they're getting ready to start a life together, which is pretty exciting. And we ask that God will bless them throughout that marriage years.
Amen to that. And it makes you think back on your own life, too. But
oh, my goodness. It made me think about so many different things. And, of course, I got to put my financial planner hat on and think about, well, okay, what did I do to prepare for this day financially? What should we recommend people do? And so let's come up with a show. And so guess what? Came up with a show.
Here we go.
We're calling the show Life-Changing Events. Now, there's different perspectives. Of course, there are perspectives.
That's a financial planner talking.
This English language is difficult for me, but perspective from different viewpoints. I'm going real slow so I can get my words right. Imagine that the wedding day for Noah is a good day.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good day. The wedding day for me, the father, it's a good day. Has some bad parts of it because you're a little sad of the past and you're looking forward to the future and you're trying to get on board and, you know, you want your kids to marry and marry the perfect person and enjoy an incredible life together. And that's exactly what we're hoping and praying for. But what happens is that there's this perspective from us, myself and my wife, and then there's my father, the grandparent view of this, right?
Right.
And his view of what's going on and what they're able to do and help and things like that.
Right, and you got to think back because on your dad's wedding day, that was a super good day for you because without it, you wouldn't be here.
Well, that's very true. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just a couple.
Mid-60s.
We weren't around for that.
The mid-60s. But imagine this. Life-changing events are events that some of them we can predict, we can plan for because we can do things such as a timeline of our life and think, well, these are the type of things that might happen, what I'd like to see happening throughout life.
Right.
And guess what? Planner Brian did one of the weirdest things. You look at me strange when I explain this story.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I wrote out a timeline. The timeline was my age at the time, my wife's age. So she's 1 year different, so I put our two ages together and a year above it.
Right.
Then I started blocking out time all the way out until, let's say, 90. So
until you're 90 years old.
Yeah, gave a life expectancy of 90 because Akers typically is 87 based on all the criteria of the last couple of generations.
Right.
The life expectancy number, you know?
Right. Okay.
Then I put in events based on our life, our timing, and, you know, ages when you hit Social Security, just certain ages and things going on in life.
Right.
Then I overlaid the timeline with our two children, their ages, and then I put their timeline out of, college and possible wedding time periods. I even put in possible grandkid time periods, like when they could come.
And in fact, if I remember correctly, I've heard part of this story before. When you got married, you made this timeline and you planned when you were going to have kids.
That's a different story, Jeff, but that was my senior financial planning thesis at Virginia Tech, was a financial plan on my life, planning that all out, the business, the planning, actual wedding date. I planned that in there before I asked my wife to marry me.
Before she even said yes.
I gave her the plan. She never really read the date there until later she realized what was going on. Yes, plan too far ahead. All right, back to my timeline. So the timeline. So writing out these dates. So I wrote my dates, my wife's dates, the two kids' dates. Then I wrote our parents' dates. Because people that in your circle that you're responsible for, I want to lay this all out time-wise just to see what are those big years, those years when I got to be ready for that. So in my case, I had kids, two of them in college at the same time.
Right.
So those were important years to have finances ready for it.
Right.
Then I had, of course, a daughter. So daughter, in general wedding terms, could be more expensive than a son.
Right.
In my terms, it was.
That might play out just that way.
And if, as we're talking about the wedding day, the wedding, father of the groom, different job than father of the bride.
Oh, yeah.
A lot different. And I don't know what to do. So hopefully on this day, I'm doing a pretty good job of it.
And you've only got to do it once.
Thankfully. So the idea is this, so there's these big events. Then I had the college events. Then you had the possible wedding events, setting money aside for that. Then you got parents. You have parents, healthy parents. You have unhealthy parents. You have different phases of life for that. You have the idea of if your kids, have grandkids, and you want to be around for that. You don't want to be like some of my clients move to Florida, and then they're enjoying Florida. Then, they have grandkids. They got to move back to Maryland for that. And so that's part of their timeline. I've heard lots of stories the last 35 years of financial planning and what goes on in people's lives. And the key ingredient is you have to have moments of life when you can travel, moments of life when you can do certain things, just my wife and I, without all the other responsibilities. Right. And that's sort of the phase of life my wife and I are in right now. Is there is a little gap of time where we don't have as many responsibilities as we've had or will have in the future.
I'm sorry, but this just struck me as you were talking about the timelines. I'm sure Noah and Julia would be interested to know when you plan on them having kids.
I do not have that written down anywhere. I have a time gap, like a 25, 30-year gap of time that could be.
Okay.
That's it.
So it's a window.
It's a window. And the idea of a window, reality, if you're doing financial planning and you're retired and you're like, I got to be around for the grandkids, you need to be around this first 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Right.
In those first 5 years, it's so important to be there, to be part of the family, and to make sure that you can help them out.
Right.
Once these kids start going to school,
your chance to see them just dwindles after
it disappears
that.
Almost, especially when they hit the grades, the first, second, third grade. After that, it's little different phases of life. And I know my own mother-in-law had a tough time because she was very active with my kids' lives until then, and then slowed down.
Right. And you've got to, be ready for that.
So what we're doing here in the first quarter, we're talking about life-changing events. In fact, what we want to do is we want to prepare for these life-changing events by knowing that they're going to come and that life-changing events happen in our life.
Right.
There's positive ones, and then there's very tough ones, very negative ones. Our main point today is this. When there's a life-changing event in your family, who do you call? Who do you actually call to help you make decisions? And what do we want to do about that kind of question, Jeff?
Well, we want you to call us so that we can help you navigate whatever that event is, whether it's one of the good ones like your son getting married,
right,
or whether it's a difficult one down the road. We want to be able to help you walk through that and make the right decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you had a really tough one a few years ago.
Well, I did. About 8 years ago, my mom passed away,
right,
and then my dad now is on his own, and he was her caretaker. And so, fortunately, he had planned things out, so he was ready when the time came. Now he's on his own, and he's getting older, so I've got to just keep an eye on, okay, what do I need to do? Thankfully, he's a stubborn old guy, so he's still doing okay.
But you make time.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be in the schedule. You have to be around. You have to do those things. Thankfully, he's saved financially, so You don't have to do extra that way, but you're just time and being there.
Right. Just be with them, and there's certain things. I mean, you reach a point where you can't carry things around that you used to carry around. So I'll try to take care of those kinds of things for them.
I've already reached that point.
Yeah. Well, Noah's the guy then.
well, too many sports. When you play a lot of sports, it does come to get you. And lifting your arm above your head, those kind of things are tough.
And the knees give out.
Oh, yeah, very true.
All that stuff.
So basically what we're talking about is life-changing events. The reason we want to talk about that is, of course, things going in my mind, and then I get to write a show up about it.
Right.
But we're thinking about things that change life. There's a birth of a child, birth of a grandchild. There's college. There's weddings. There's retirement, disability, death in a family. Someone's sick. Someone gets a bad diagnosis. Mm-hmm. There's events that occur that we didn't know they're going to happen. A flood, a hurricane, a fire. All of these events have happened to some of our clients. Right. And I feel like a lot of these events have happened in the last year, just trying to help clients with what's going on in their life at that moment. And that's why we want people to do proper planning to be ready for whatever life brings us.
Right. So even if you're not in the midst of a life-changing event right now, give us a call so we can plan and be ready when that happens. Because sometimes we get the call after it's happened, and I'll look at what's going on. It's like, oh, I wish they had done this or this. Well, if we had been working with you before that, those things could have been done, and it could have been a lot easier.
Well, the idea is, how do you build a portfolio? That's what this show's going to be about. How do you plan for all these kind of things, knowing that some of these things are going to happen in our life, good and the bad? How do we get ready? And the idea is this: as certified financial planner practitioners, our goal is to do financial planning.
Right.
At Acres Financial Group, we're local, we're independent. We don't report to a big company on Wall Street. We don't even report to a company in Iowa. We don't report to anybody like that. We report to you, to the client. We do have offices in Forest Hill and Lutherville, and clients all around the Mid-Atlantic region and around the country, even a few around the world. It's so easy to begin winning in retirement, to talk about your exact situation, talk about your changing events. And the reason that you need to do that is because you need someone to call. So what you need to do is this: give us a call and schedule your free meeting with one of our team of advisors. Call us at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. We'll give you a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person or Zoom meeting. Go to acresfinancialgroup.com or call us at 833-946-7384 to start planning for your retirement now. Why don't we prepare for some events? We'll talk about this in a moment.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. I'm Brian Akers. Here with me today is Jeff Akers. We're both certified financial planner practitioners from Akers Financial Group, and we welcome you to the second quarter of our show, Winning in Retirement, this radio podcast. If you ever want to hear more of these shows or hear what we did in the past, go to our website, acresfinancialgroup.com. That's AKERS financialgroup.com. Today's a big day. We're doing a show called Life-Changing Events. Mainly this idea came from the fact that today is my son's wedding day.
All right.
We covered that the first quarter. Didn't you know that, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
That's actually, you're at the wedding with me.
Yeah, we're not doing the radio show right now.
It's recorded. And the reason we recorded is because I emotionally had to get through it. But life-changing events, we got to be prepared for them. Now, that leads to the second quarter, and the question of the quarter is this: why don't we prepare for some events like this?
Oh, well, a lot of times we'll think, I've got time. I don't have to worry about that right now. I'll do it later. I'll get to that later. Right now, you only live once. It's that old YOLO.
YOLO. That's not that old, YOLOs.
YOLO? Well, I didn't know it was not that old. Anyway, but you only live once, so I want to do all the stuff I want to do now, and I'll worry about that stuff later.
Yeah, but that later happens. That later comes.
It comes up, and we're not ready for it, and that can be a problem. That means that we have to put off whatever we thought we were going to do later.
Absolutely. So today's a son's wedding. The thing is, on a wedding day, you know what? You've already prepaid everything before the wedding day.
Well, yeah.
And normally they want their money way ahead of time.
Right. So you got to plan in advance.
Yeah, and thankfully in certain weddings, what happens is the bridal side will pay a lot of the bills, and the father of the groom side just pays what they can.
Right, just a couple things here and there.
It's a good deal. And the rehearsal dinner, you have to do that. Have to have a little party for that. That's nice.
That's fun.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
And so the idea is this: life-changing events. There's some that we can predict. There's kids that are born,
right,
and then they're going to cost money. You got to feed them.
Really?
You got to feed them.
Kids cost money.
Absolutely. If they're born or if they're even adopted, right, Jeff?
Right. Yeah, and in my case, adopting kids, that meant that we had to kind of prepay, like for the wedding. You had to pay along the way.
Oh yeah, you had to put a down payment on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like my kids came out free. Shouldn't say it that way. They came free.
Jeannie wouldn't say free.
yeah, not free. Free indeed. All right, so should we go back and delete that? No.
I think that was pretty good.
Oh my. All right, so Jeff, life-changing event for you guys was adoption for two kids. And those two kids were from another country. You had an event and a half there.
Yeah, it was interesting because all that work for the adoption, and we get through the adoption, we're like, oh, finally, that's over. Then you hear, and it's like, oh, we've got kids. And we had to start that process with the kids and taking care of them going forward.
Hey, so when you go to pick up a kid, do you just give them a credit card? How does this work?
Well, where we went, we had to take cash, but that's another story.
Yeah, years ago, back in the day.
Well, my younger son is in college. He's a sophomore in college this year. So that was another event that was coming up that we needed to think about. You finished paying for the adoption. Now let's pay for them to get an education.
Yeah. So the idea is this: the life-changing events, many times they cost money.
Oh yeah.
And that money, if you wait to the last second, it's a big number.
Right.
It's not a month's salary. It could be multiple months' salary. In an adoption, it could be 6 months to a year of someone's net income that they need to use for that.
Yeah, thinking back, based on my salary at the time, it was about 8 months of salary, I think.
Yeah. So the idea is that these are not small financial decisions. These are rather large.
Right, they were significant.
And so the only way to prepare for these are what kind of ways, Jeff?
Well, one way is that we save money. We have to set money aside for things. Mm-hmm. Some things we know. I've heard you talk before about if you're going to need a car in 5 years. Well, go ahead and make a car payment to the savings account now, so you've got the cash when it's time to get the car.
Absolutely.
So you can plan for those kinds of things. But there are things that come up that you're not necessarily planning for, but you want to have money set aside for those too. We call that an emergency fund.
Yeah, so the good habits, the good planning that we speak about on Winning Retirement all the time is what we need to go to in life-changing events. The good ones and the tough ones. We need to have things in place. Mm-hmm. A solid financial plan gives a basic ideas of what a solid financial plan looks like, all within 30 seconds.
Within 30 seconds. So starting point, take care of the family. That means that you're going to have insurance in place and all that stuff. Next, you're going to have an emergency fund. Just talked about that. Next, we're going to get out of unsecured debt.
Yeah, so you don't have a cash flow or a need that has to pay all the debt, and you don't have any extra money, and you also haven't used up all your debt, and you have no free lines of credit for a major event.
Right. We want to have money coming in be more than the money that has to go out. After that, then we start taking care of things like education, retirement, the mortgage, those kinds of things. Because ultimately, when we reach retirement age, we don't want to have a mortgage. So we want to plan for that. That all requires planning.
Absolutely. Now, in regular planning, as we begin, we always find out if they have estate planning and wills and power of attorneys done. Most people, when they walk through the doors, do not. Some do, but very few do.
Well, the ones that do, most of the time say, yeah, it's about 20 years old. I should probably look at that again.
Well, at least they did it 20 years ago. I mean, we have a lot of people who come in without them, and they might be in high-risk jobs that should have had them.
Yeah, that was one thing going through the adoption. The adoption agency required us to have certain things in place for the adoption to go through.
All right, so this quarter, we're talking about why don't we prepare for some events? So what's some reasons you would think people don't prepare? They're just going on with life, or what's happening?
Well, there's the idea of just procrastination, putting it off. There are certain events that we know are coming, but we just don't like to think about.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to die eventually, but we just don't like to think about it. Well, if you're the primary earner in a family and you've got kids, well, if you die, that's a significant hardship for the folks that are left behind, your spouse and your kids that are left behind. And so having a proper life insurance in place to take care of them is critical. That's why we talk about taking care of the family.
Right, absolutely, because one of the quotes that I wrote down is life-changing events don't have to be life-challenging events. when you're prepared. So some of the hardest events that we face for clients is when a spouse gets very sick or if a spouse passes away. Mm-hmm. Now, in financial planning terms, there's insurance to help with that. And insurance has to be bought way ahead to provide for that.
Right. When you need life insurance, it's too late to buy it.
That's very deep, Jeff. That's very true. Now, life insurance can also have a way of saving money. So besides building your emergency fund and saving in that car fund, now that car fund idea, I've saved so much money a month for that for many years to buy cars and also to pay for weddings and things. I just kept going with it and let it build and grow and using that money as I need it. Yeah. That money is invested in the market. It's invested over time. It's invested for the purposes in the future of having flexibility and liquidity. I like having that fund there for me personally because whenever there's an event, I go there. Right. And I know that cash cow, that account is there for that purpose.
Right. There are events that you knew were coming. You might not know exactly when, but you know they're coming.
Absolutely. And the other thing is I've used my cash value life insurance to build cash inside of them. And then that also is a way to access some cash tax-free for events where I need a larger sum of money.
You know, if we go back, way back, right after I got out of college, my cousin, who would be Brian, encouraged me to buy life insurance, cash value life insurance. And I bought that. I wasn't married. I hadn't even met my wife yet. But 12, 14 years later or so, I was using the cash value in that to help with the adoption expenses.
Yeah, because tax-free withdrawal, the life insurance, when properly drawn up, can be almost like your own bank account where you can pull the money out, put it back in. You can do a lot of things with it. Okay. It's a way of having some cash that can grow tax-free and be flexible. The hardest part is that when you have a life event and you haven't saved anything, you basically go into debt.
Right.
And then you're paying for that event for many years to come, and then you have to sacrifice something else in the future because you weren't prepared for the first big event.
Yeah, and you said, why don't people do it? Why don't people prepare? And one of the reasons that I hear sometimes is, oh, I just can't afford that. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like, you got a car and you need to get the oil change and stuff like that, but you think, oh, things are really tight, I'm going to put that off. Well, you keep putting it off, the engine's going to freeze up, and then you're going to need a new car.
Correct. The small problem becomes a big problem.
Right.
So what I try to get people to do is pay yourself first. Put some money aside. Make it a habit. Make it a bill. Make it part of your budget. Live within your means, but make sure that you're living within your means and you're saving. Not you're living within your means and spending all the money and there's no room for savings. Squeeze some savings up top that you can set aside. And then you build an emergency fund. Then you build that next liquid fund. And then you start doing other things with your money based on your financial choices. But we have to have these multiple diversified portfolio of buckets of money, different titling, different styles based on the purpose behind it. Setting up money with purpose is really the main point when it comes to being prepared. Now, why do people not prepare? They feel like if they have time. Like if you think about high school, I always like to think about high school class. You're sitting in that class. How many people are doing their homework the last minute?
Oh, nobody. They're all talking to their friends waiting to go home. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking last minute of the day. You're talking right before it's due.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about right before it's due. I was thinking what kind of school you go to. You guys are all done your homework? All right, so the idea is if it's due at 5 o'clock, there's people doing it at 4:59. Yeah. Or they're asking for a delay after 4:59.
Right. Nowadays, with all the computer stuff, everything's always due at 11:59 at night. And so at 11:58, they're trying to hit submit and thinking, why won't the computer do it?
Now, very few plan way ahead. Like you get that syllabus first day of semester of the freshman year and you start doing all the homework right away. That's very few people.
Yeah.
Now, they might be very successful academically if they did.
Right.
And that would be recommended to do that. And we'd recommend that in financial planning, that the day you get your first job, hey, let's start building that financial plan so that you're ready for these events.
Yeah.
But the reason is this, that people don't do it, is the fact that they have a short view. They look at tomorrow. They look at next week's bills. They look at what's coming, looking at, oh, I want to do this. I want to have fun on Friday. I want to do all these things. These distractions, we're not thinking about the future. The question would be is this, if you're not thinking about it, who is?
Ooh.
At Acres Financial Group, we try to think about you. We try to think about your financial situation, where you are. We call that your financial fingerprint. When you sit down with us, we talk about your situation you're in right now, how to make it right, how to organize it, how to get your finances in a way so that you can handle life's changing events. Perhaps you've been sold something, regardless of whether you need it or not. How does that fit into a plan? That Acres Financial Group, what we want to do is build a plan that's surrounded by you and your situation and possible future situations that might occur. We want you to be ready. We call this a unique financial fingerprint, and that determines exactly how to invest and where your money should go. It's not about us. It's going to be about you. So give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE and schedule an in-person or Zoom meeting with one of our team of advisors. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE, 833-946-7384, or visit our website at acresfinancialgroup.com. Scroll down to the bottom of our homepage and schedule a meeting right there. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE or go to acresfinancialgroup.com. Many big events come at us with no warning. How can you be prepared? We'll talk about this next in just a moment.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Indeed. Welcome back to our radio podcast, Winning in Retirement. This is Brian Akers. I'm president and founder of Acres Financial Group, and here with me today is Jeff Akers, certified financial planner, practitioner, and my cousin.
Yes.
All right. So today's show, here's the second half. We welcome you to the second half of our show. Today's show is called Life-Changing Events. That's a big day. It's a big day for winning in retirement, and for me, my son Noah's getting married today. And this is a recorded show. I'm at the wedding. Don't worry.
Yeah, you didn't skip it.
Didn't skip it. This is a good thing. I get to hear myself driving around.
Hear yourself driving to the wedding, listening to yourself.
Yeah. So I can't go into that too much on the radio show. But imagine you're driving around Baltimore like everybody else is, and you listen to the radio, and you hear yourself talking. You're saying, "Okay, that was good information." Oh man, say it better, Brian.
Make it make sense, please.
Well, the idea is like in your mind, you're saying, well, how can I explain to people that are listening? There are many people listening to the show, and I want them to understand that financial planning is a process. Financial planning is being prepared for things that occur, and it doesn't happen just at that moment. It has to be a life of planning. It can't be something where I'm okay. Are you really okay? I mean, how do people retire and know they're going to be okay, or do they just wing it?
Well, and we heard you earlier talking about how you sort of planned out your life. And so if people are wondering, how could Brian be a good financial planner? Well, you heard him talk about it because he did that for his life. And that's the kind of thing that he tries to do for clients as well, is help them plan what's next.
I really try in my first meeting with people to understand what they're saying, then the reality of what's in their statements and what's in their finances, right. And then the reality of, are they a saver or spender, and can they live within their means to make this plan work at all, and are they buying into the plan itself to be able to live this life? Because what happens in financial services industry, most people are out there selling a product,
right? And
so the beginning is a product, not a beginning of planning and understanding you, the person.
Right. The product is the end of the planning process, kind of thing.
And I can't explain it any better than this, and that is this. The show is called Life-Changing Events. Who do you call? Right. Who do you call? Do you call your broker, or do you call someone else? If you're not calling that advisor, they're probably not your advisor.
Right. Yeah. The first, well, maybe not the first, depending on the event, but one of the top things on the list needs to be your financial advisor, because most events are going to have a financial component to it.
Absolutely. You're going to need to find out, hey, where should I take my money from? Where's the money for this one, Brian? Right. What should we do? Now, the reality, it goes like this. We get that call. There's a few events I'm trying to remember in my life that a client calls. One called on a Sunday night. The husband had passed away, and she goes, Brian, am I okay? And I said, well, let me come to your house tomorrow morning. Right. And I went there on a Monday morning and sitting there going over the plan that we've done. Right. And saying, this is what we did. These are the things you have. And the plan is for you over the next couple of years to work through this plan that we have. So it's almost like there's a special briefcase for that emergency call. And that briefcase, you open up and say, well, this is what we planned for. Guess what? If we didn't do the planning, There wouldn't be a briefcase to even open up, right?
Right. Then you're not ready.
For younger people, a briefcase, people used to carry around information.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't do that anymore. It's sort of out there.
Nowadays, it's a thumb drive.
Oh, now we actually have websites for our clients. They log in secure online, and the things are there. It's nice.
Yeah, there's modern ways.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We can beam it up to you.
Beam it to you.
All right, so the idea is this. Here in the third quarter, the second half of the show, the question is, many big events come at us with no warning. How can we be prepared? And so we're trying to cover this information about how you can be prepared, and it comes with doing the planning now. When everything's good, everything seems great, do your planning now. Take care of the worst case scenarios by buying the things you need in case something does go wrong. Think about the bad things. Think about things that could occur and how would you handle it. Make sure you've done the thinking and the process of going through what is right for you.
Right. Think about them, prepare for them, and then when that time comes, whatever it is, then you're ready for it. Brian gave an example of someone who he could go the next day and say, all right, here's what we've got planned for this very event. I've had folks come in that didn't do that, and they lost a spouse, and they come in, they say, well, what do I do now? And there's a lot of digging. We got to figure out what's going on in order to take the next step for those folks.
I think it was a Friday morning we got a call from a military son of one of my clients. My client was actually basically had a stroke. He was in his last moments at the hospital, and they were trying to make decisions. They came from different states because they're a whole military family. And they said, well, Brian, where do we start? And I said, well, let me explain to you the website your parents have that we have for our clients.
Right.
On there is a vault where we can send you data and information. Mm-hmm. On there is a copy of what we've been covering, where their assets are. You see their net worth. You see their income. You see where their insurance is. Everything's there and ready. And then we have uploaded their documents for them to use while they're in the hospital. So we were that person to call. We had a situation where a client of ours had a heart attack, and the kids came in and they found a Acres Financial at the top of the desk. It says, call Brian. If there's anything, call Brian.
Right.
That was the card on top of the pile, call Brian. And so to me, if I had to explain the call-in advisor, what role do we want to be at Acres Financial Group? We want to be that call.
Right.
I mean, yes, you'll call your family and friends and pastors and people like that, but you have to have a financial person to call to bring them in to take care of us. And so at Acres Financial, we built a team of people, of CFPs, of paraplanners, of operations, of people to take care of our clients.
Right, because all too often kids come in when their parents pass away, and they're coming in cold, and they have no idea what's going on with their parents.
But for them to look at what we've done and then to breathe like, oh, that's good.
Right. There's somebody who can help with this, who can take care of it.
Yeah, I just had one case, a client for 30 years, 96 years old, passed away. And so we've been sending things to the daughter, but, she didn't really read it all.
Yeah.
But now she's reading it. Going, right. What is this? What is this? And I said, we'll handle that. We'll take care of that. And I did a little summary, gave the options of what to do, walk through. She goes, oh, you mean I don't have to do this? I don't have to cover that? No, you don't. We'll handle it for you. So the idea is this. There's these big events. They're going to be good events, and then there's going to be really hard, tough events. Those hard, tough events, you need to do some planning ahead to make sure you have something to fall back on when it comes to your financial planning. It's not the easiest thing to talk about, but it's something you must talk about.
Right, and you talk about it for now. You make the plan for it. Then you don't have to think about it later, and it doesn't have to be that nagging worry in the back of your head that, I should really deal with this, but I don't want to. Once you take care of it, you knock it out, then you don't have to think about it after that.
So the idea is you take care of the worst case scenarios. Things such as, what if we died tomorrow? What would happen? Make sure we cover that. We know what's planned out and what some ideas might be. Not have everything perfectly handled, but just understand some ideas. And then what you do is invest and live like you're going to live forever. Invest that money to last a lifetime. One of the things about financial planning is we don't know the expiration date of our clients. Right. We have an estimate of 10, 15-year range maybe, but we try to plan for that money to make sure it lasts longer than we do, to make sure that money's there for that client no matter what's going on in their life.
Right. In planning, we're trying to take care of the extremes. Mm-hmm. If we can take care of the extremes, then everything in the middle can be covered.
And what happens is this decision process leads us to give our answer, which is a conservative answer. One of our conservative answers is this: why are you taking so much risk on your money when you don't have to? Why are you risking money for things you don't need when you're already there? So people that are financially independent, clients that have built their wealth over a lifetime, they're close to retirement. Why are they still risking everything? Where a market collapse, a terrorism type event, things that can affect the market 30% down quickly, we don't want to have all of our assets exposed to that.
Right, and we don't want you to be worried about where your next, I'm going to call it a paycheck, but in retirement, we want you to have paychecks. Yeah. We don't want you to worry about where that next paycheck is going to come from.
One of our newer clients, the lady brought her son in, and the son's like, well, shouldn't my mom, who's 73 years old, shouldn't she put all of her money in the S&P 500?
Ouch.
And we're like, absolutely not. Well,
right.
Why not? It's done so well. I said, well, you're looking at 10 years. The last 10 years were pretty good. Not the last couple, but the last 10 years were pretty good. But if you look at 2000, 2010, do you know the S&P was negative for a decade?
Right.
It was a roller coaster that came right back to where you were. But that was not keeping up with inflation, not growth. You need a balanced, diversified portfolio. Now, in the market in 2023, diversification has not been the best because only 7 stocks have given us the growth this year on the technology side. The rest are sort of down, waiting for things to turn around.
Right. The increase that you've seen in the market has been very consolidated to those 7 stocks.
Yeah. So these big events that come at us, one of them could be someone calls you into their office at work and they say, all right, it's your last day.
Right.
I had a client. I met with them on a Tuesday. And we were talking about their company got bought out a year ago. And he goes, yeah, and this manager in another state just got let go last week. And then we were talking about their situation and how they're saving, how close they are to retirement. Just 2 days later, he calls me back and says, hey, Brian, they let me go.
Oh, wow.
It's like, well, that's a couple years too early in our plan, but you guys are such great savers. Take a look at your finances to see what you need to do next. And the amazing thing is that they're realizing that they're okay.
Right.
And they realized it completely. They called me back a week later and said, we did all that. And my wife's going to keep working until we're 62, but for maybe 65 based on health care.
Right.
But financially, they're okay to work or not. So I said, that's a wonderful place to be. That is true financial independence.
Right.
That's how you handle big events, is be financially independent.
You have the plan in place, and then something comes up. The plan can be adjusted,
Absolutely.
But you're not having to create it from scratch in an emergency.
And you need money that you can access at certain ages in life. You can't have everything in your retirement plan and expect to have every event ready to handle them. You can't have it ready.
It's in retirement accounts. You can't retire at 50.
Now, retirement, we want our clients to retire. We want them to win in their retirement years. We all want to retire someday because the best part of retirement will be getting your time back, where you decide how to use it. Before retirement, your time is tied up with other commitments, mainly your job. A lot of that goes away. Your time is now consumed by things that you want to do. It's so easy to begin winning in retirement. Go to our website at acresfinancialgroup.com, scroll to the schedule a meeting section, and let us know you'd like to schedule your free consultation with one of our team of advisors. That's acresfinancialgroup.com. Or you can call us at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WINRETIRE. And we'll give you a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person or Zoom meeting. Go to acresfinancialgroup.com or call us at 833-946-7384 to start planning for your retirement now. What are the top 3 things you need to handle life-changing events? We'll give you those answers when we return in a moment.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. This is Brian Akers and Jeff Akers from Akers Financial Group. And we welcome you to our radio podcast of Winning in Retirement. This show has been flying along. We're here in the 4th quarter. What day is it today, Jeff? Do you remember?
Today is November 11th.
November 11th, 2023.
2023, which is your son's wedding day.
His son's wedding day. Noah and Julie are getting married today. Look forward to that.
Yep.
But
it's also
what day, Jeff?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Now, Veterans Day is a great day. At Acres Financial Group, we celebrated on Friday, on the 10th, with our clients at all veterans, which is wonderful. Yeah. We've done that for many years, celebrating the veterans and basically appreciating them and their families for the service they gave to our country.
Right. So if you have served, if you're a veteran, we just want to say thank you for your service. It's what keeps us free.
Absolutely. It's one of those things when you think about what they did over those years, those different generations, so that we didn't have to.
Right.
That's the part that gets me. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, for Brian and I, our grandfather was in World War II. Brian's dad was actually in Vietnam.
Yep.
So, yeah, those folks sacrificed a lot.
Absolutely. And so the key thing is this, and thank you. That's it. Veterans, thank you very much.
Right. It's hard to say much more.
Yeah, so talking about life-changing events, can you imagine being in the 60s and being called up?
Right. That's a life-changing event.
Yeah, I mean, life-changing events is what our show's about today. It's been about the idea of the positive ones, the big events in life, like weddings and birth of children and, college and first house, all those big deals. Mm-hmm. And then there's these tough ones, the hard ones, the life events that change life very quickly. Job change, the death in the family, someone gets very ill, very sick, where you need to help and take care of people. These life-changing events are events that we know are coming, and we need to be ready for them by having an advisor in place and being understanding some of these ideas of how to prepare. Now, the question was, what are the top 3 things you need to do to handle life-changing events? All right, Jeff, these are going to be our top 3 things. I know I made up the list.
Yeah.
We can always argue that it should be top 50 things, but I try to narrow to 3 basic things to start.
It's hard to remember 50 things, but 3 things we have a shot at.
Yeah, but honestly, these are the 3 things. If these are in place, it's a good start no matter what that phone call is about.
Right. And so one of the first things that we want to know about is what kind of flexibility do you have in this event? When I say flexibility, I'm talking about cash flow. Do you have more money coming in than is going out? And some of your assets, are they liquid? Are they easily accessible? If something happens and there's a big expense, do you have a way to pay for it without incurring some kind of penalty or some kind of financial pain?
Or a lot of taxes.
Or a lot of taxes can come up too.
Yeah, you want $5, you got to take out 9. Or it's just the tax effect of how you save could really hit you hard when you need a big sum of money quickly.
Right, and you might think, I've got money in my IRA. Well, taxes is a big issue with that because that's where, if you want to get the $5, you do have to take out the 9 just to get it.
And you better be over 59.5 if you need that money.
Right, because then you might have to take out 10.
Yeah,
there's an extra penalty on it.
An extra 10% unless you have one of the exceptions.
Right.
All right. So number 1 on our list is flexibility, liquidity, free cash flow. Having that money be flexible, having liquid money. What is an example of that?
An example of liquid money?
Yeah,
that's going to be like your savings account. You're going to have
water.
Money in the bank. Water. Well, water is hard to spend, but you do need it.
Yeah.
So flexibility, it can be stocks and mutual funds that are not in one of those restricted kind of accounts like a retirement account.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, that can be liquid, easily accessed.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I do is I put money every month into a liquid fund that I can get to whenever I need to.
Right.
That money is invested in growing, some years down, but you're buying. I'd rather the market be down some to buy because I can buy low. Mm-hmm. So down markets are not terrible for the saver. It's terrible for the one withdrawing, but it's good for the saver to buy it cheaper.
So you want your life-changing events to happen when the market is up.
Correct. If the life-changing event is predictable, I like to get out when the market's up and sit it on the sidelines so that it's ready when the event occurs.
Right.
Usually within a 2-year window of the event, I like to get the cash there.
Okay.
That's sort of my basic financial planning answer if you're looking in the not the weeds, into the background in the laboratory of financial planning in my brain.
The mad scientist, Brian.
All right, so number 1 is flexibility, liquidity, and free cash flow. Do you have any money saved? Where is it? Make sure it's liquid. Make sure you have enough saved. If not, save something. $25, $50, something. There are ways through technology where they'll round up everything you spend and send money to a savings account. There's ways to save money. Use the technology. Use ways to build up cash for you down the road. You need to understand that there's something called, I think it's called yo-yo. You're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Yo-yo is you're on your own.
Right.
I'd like to pretend like I don't know. I'm sorry. Yo-yo is you're on your own, meaning that you got to set this money up for yourself.
Right.
Because no one else is going to do that.
That's right.
I mean, you might, when you're growing up, you can go raid the father's piggy bank once in a while. He might not notice.
Yeah, but sooner or later he is, and then you're in trouble.
Then I found out my dad did notice when I did that. I used to exchange money. Like I always wanted his $2 bills. I know. I love $2 bills. I still save them all.
Still save $2 bills.
I got a collection of them.
Yeah, but down the road, the only person that's going to take care of the older you is the younger you.
Ooh,
and that's right now.
Yeah, I like that one.
So you got to take care of your older self right now.
All right, so the top 3 things you need to handle life-changing events. 1 is flexibility, liquidity, and free cash flow in your money and planning. Number 2 is what, Jeff?
Well, assets and lines of credit. I think assets is a little bit covered under the flexibility, but how much do you have? Mm-hmm. And do you have access to a line of credit, something where it's debt, but you only pay interest on it if you keep revolving it?
I have clients worth $10 million, $20 million in their liquidity.
Right,
because it's all in their companies, all in their real estate, all in something large. So they put their whole life work into.
Right.
And there's not a lot of liquidity. So we got to have lines of credit and build some cash on the side. We got to. It's just one of those things we have to add into the planning.
Right. Liquidity is, I need cash now. Where can I get it? Is it available?
All right. Then number 3, this is the top 3 things you need to handle life-changing events. And number 3 is what, Jeff?
Well, most or a lot of life-changing events, there's some sort of insurance for it. There's insurance, life insurance, if you pass away. There's disability insurance if you become disabled. There's homeowners insurance if something happens to your house, and car insurance if something happens with your car. So there's insurance for a lot of these things. Do you have the right insurance to take care of some of these events?
Absolutely. Disability insurance, life insurance. We like you to own the pure kind of disability, the pure kind of life insurance. Might be through your work, might be something purchased on your own or through us. But the idea is having the insurance, not buying something that only pays for a certain reason, like an accident or something like that.
Right. One of the things that happens with employer plans, a lot of times will be open enrollment, and you go through and like, I can't afford that life insurance. Oh, what's this? Accidental death. Yeah, I can afford that. My spouse will get $1 million if I die. Well, no. It's only if you die in an accident.
And it says so on the death certificate.
And it's got to say it on the death certificate. Mm-hmm. So that's not life insurance. Now, that might be something that's cheap enough that you put as a supplement, but it's not life insurance. You need to have real, pure life insurance, as Brian was saying.
We've seen all kinds of insurance when people do a review with us, and we've canceled a bunch of them to use that money towards other insurance to make sure you have the proper insurance so that you are covered when an event occurs. Knowing that policy and that company will be there and pay is a key way of understanding worst-case scenarios, making sure you're prepared for life-changing events, especially big events. Big events are things that are very large numbers, very large changes, things that shift lifestyle, might shift where you live, might shift how you live if you don't plan properly.
Yeah, one other thing I want to mention about life insurance, particularly through work, is the beneficiary on it. I met with someone recently, spouse passed away, and they had estate listed as the beneficiary on the life insurance. Yep. Life insurance is generally tax-free. There's no cost to it. But when you put estate, now it's got to go through probate. So now there's a cost. Whatever that death benefit is, the beneficiary is not getting all of it.
Yeah, there'll be the processing of it. If it goes to a spouse, probably not. There's no taxes unless it's drawn up in a weird way.
Right.
But normally no taxes. But if it is a niece or nephew, you're going to introduce taxes by doing the estate.
Right.
If the life insurance was directed to niece and nephew, you avoid Maryland inheritance tax.
Right.
So there are ideas. There's lots of things in planning that you need to understand. So the idea is this. The top 3 things you need to handle life-changing events. 1 is have flexibility, liquid, and free cash flow with your investments. Number 2 is make sure you know about your assets, where they are, how they're titled, how you have access to them. Is there lines of credit that you can get to if something is needed greatly and quickly? And the 3rd is, do you have insurance for it? Do you have insurance to cover these tough events in life to make sure you and your family are provided for? Basic financial planning, done now. Don't wait. What you need to do is understand a few things. 1 is this. We all have hopes and dreams. Will our lack of saving actually limit our future dreams? The idea is that if we don't do something now, there won't be anything in the future. It's just not going to appear out of the blue.
Right. And winning the lottery is not a financial plan.
It's not?
No. Okay. Well, it's a financial plan. It's just one
financial dream. It's a financial dream and a plan.
Yeah. It just fails most of the time.
Well, but when those win, it's a wonderful thing for them at that moment. And then after the tax man takes
It's a less wonderful thing.
It comes a less. Take the lump sum, a less event. But ultimately, there's money left over.
Right.
And it does help you in your finances to correct things and get things the way it should be. But sometimes it doesn't mean as much as it could, unless you win the billions like some person did.
Right. So planning is the way to get to your dreams.
Absolutely. So today's a big day, life-changing events. I know in my family's life, our son, Noah and Julia, are getting married today, and we wish them the very best. We ask that God will bless their marriage and their life together, and we look forward to this day. We're glad that you got a chance to listen to our show about life-changing events. We want you to hear that it matters to us. We want to be that one that you call, right, Jeff?
Right. Because we do actually care.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to tell you without understanding that that's what we've done with our clients. Is we've been there, we've been the one that they call.
Right. We have a relationship.
And that's the idea of Acres Financial Group. It's financial planning for the people, helping them. That's what we built this company around. That's what we're going to keep building it around as long as we can. Today we covered these life-changing events. We look forward to having you go to our website, acresfinancialgroup.com. Check us out. We also want you to be winning throughout your retirement years. To do that by taking advantage of an opportunity to begin planning with us at Acres Financial Group. To schedule your free meeting with one of our team of advisors, go to our website at acresfinancialgroup.com, scroll to the Schedule Meeting section, and let us know you'd like to schedule your free meeting. That's acresfinancialgroup.com, where you can call us 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. We'll give you a call on Monday to schedule a free in-person or Zoom meeting with one of our team of advisors. Start planning now for your retirement. Go to Acres Financial Group or call us at 833-946-7384. Thank you for listening. I'm Brian Akers from Akers Financial Group, and we want you to be winning in retirement.
You've been listening to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers of Akers Financial Group. Akers Financial Group offers securities through Archaios Capital, an SIPC and FINRA member firm. Advisory services are provided through Archaios Wealth. Akers Financial Group and Archaios do not share any common ownership. Neither Archaios nor Akers Financial Group provides tax or legal advice. Advice given on winning in retirement is general in nature, and one should seek further advice from their financial advisor, broker, attorney, and or tax accountant before investing. Be sure to read each prospectus carefully to understand all the risks associated with each investment. Examples and scenarios shared are meant to be for illustrative purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results.